The auto-flight system can assist you at takeoff. It supplies flight director guidance and automatic thrust control. The autopilot can be engaged only after takeoff. The flight director supplies pitch and roll commands. During takeoff, the flight director gives roll commands for wings level and pitch commands to fly the climb profile. You use the auto throttle to set takeoff thrust and to reduce thrust to climb thrust after takeoff. To engage the takeoff mode, the two flight directors must be on. The flight director that is turned on first makes the related FCC the master FCC and illuminates a master flight director indicator. The master FCC sets the modes for the FCCs and controls annunciations on the FMAs. Turn on the flight director for the pilot flying first. You use the MCP to set the autoflight system for takeoff. During the pre-flight, you set V2 in the IAS Mach window. To use the auto throttle for takeoff, you must set the auto throttle switch to arm. The auto throttle indicator light illuminates and the FMA shows that the auto throttle is armed. The thrust mode display, or TMD, shows the active N1 limit. TO shows that the auto throttle limit is takeoff thrust. To engage the takeoff mode, advance the thrust levers to approximately 40% N1 and let the engines stabilize. This helps make sure there is a symmetrical thrust increase to the takeoff N1. Next, push a toga switch. The N1 and toga annunciations show on the FMA. The flight director command bars show a 10-degree nose-down pitch, and the auto throttle advances the thrust to the N1 limit. At 60 knots, the flight director command bars move to show a 15-degree nose-up pitch. This shows the initial target attitude when the airplane rotates after VR. It is not a rotation command. Above 80 knots, the auto throttle mode changes to thrust hold. In thrust hold, power is removed from the auto throttle. This protects against thrust lever movement if a system fault occurs. As with ARM, thrust hold lets you manually move the thrust levers without a subsequent correction from the auto throttle. Check if takeoff thrust is set. If takeoff thrust is not set before the auto throttle mode switches to thrust hold, you must set the thrust manually. In this example, you must set the thrust manually. During initial climb out, the flight director command bars show the fixed 15-degree pitch target attitude. Once sufficient climb rate is acquired, the pitch bar commands MCP speed, V2 plus 20 knots. At 400 feet radio altitude, engage a roll mode, such as LNAV, Heading Select, or VOR Localizer. In this example, Heading Select is selected when you push toga. At 800 feet radio altitude, the auto throttle mode changes from thrust hold to arm. When you reach the flap retraction altitude and you push the N1 switch on the MCP, the thrust is reduced to climb thrust. Push the N1 switch now. The auto throttle field of the FMA now shows N1, and the TMD N reference N1 bugs show the new active N1 limit climb. When you increase the MCP speed to retract the flaps, the flight director no longer commands a speed of V2 plus 15 knots. Pitch is now set to maintain the MCP speed. If you engage an autopilot while in takeoff mode, the pitch mode automatically engages in level change. The pitch field of the FMA shows MCP speed, and the autothrottle field shows N1. The MCP IAS Mach window and airspeed cursor change to V2 plus 15 knots. And the roll mode engages in heading select unless a different roll mode was selected after takeoff. The autoflight system goes out of the takeoff mode when an autopilot is engaged or a pitch mode is engaged.